So from the textbook, what is it that we need to know with regard to these characteristics of sound? So in terms of loudness and intensity, there are definitions that are given. This is on page 166 of your textbook. If you want to mark out the sections, please take out your textbook and do the marking. So they have given a definition of what is loudness. They are talking about using a CRO, cathode ray oscilloscope. We will deal with that a little bit later. I'll show you what is a CRO, but they don't generally ask any questions with regard to the CRO in the board paper. Then the same thing that we discussed in the class before, the previous class, that is loudness kind of like corresponds to the increase in amplitude of the wave. So then there is a discussion about all that, and then we come to intensity. Intensity is the objective measure of loudness. So they are having a discussion about why it is watts per square meter. And then we come to the subjective nature of loudness and objective nature of intensity. So there it's saying that certain sounds may be heard as being too loud for some people, whereas it may be all right for some other people. The example being all those people who are dancing in front of those speakers in the Maharashtrian weddings or other weddings. I think this kind of thing happens all over India. Factors affecting the loudness of sound. Loudness is proportional to the square of the amplitude. Loudness varies inversely as the square of the distance from the source. Loudness depends on the surface area of the vibrating body. Loudness depends on the density of the medium. And loudness depends on the presence of resonant bodies. So you can examine each one of these points. As I was reading it out, was there any one point that you felt we should discuss? Proportional to square of amplitude, varies inversely to square of distance from source, depends on surface area of vibrating body, depends on density of the medium, and depends on the presence of resonant bodies. Any questions about that? Anyone you would like to examine a little more closely? If there isn't, we'll carry on. And then relationship between loudness and intensity. Okay, so this particular section is actually not, technically speaking, part of your syllabus. Okay, so what we saw was that there is a relationship between intensity and loudness. Intensity which is measured in watts per square meter, and loudness which is measured in terms of decibels, with 10 power minus 12 watts per square meter corresponding to 0 decibels. Okay, and with every drop in the, every 10 power increase in the index, the decibel increases by a factor of 10. Okay, 80 decibels, threshold of pain, temporary hearing loss, possibility of permanent damage if there is prolonged exposure, ear defenders or protective equipment is required. Sounds greater than that can cause permanent hearing loss, and obviously protective equipment is recommended. So this is what you have to remember. Like these people who work on the road works, repairing roads, they use an instrument called as a pneumatic drill. Have you all heard or seen that? What is a pneumatic drill? So yeah, it's to break rocks. Yes, hydraulic. Yeah. So it's like a piston kind of a thing like this. That's connected to a. This goes to a, what is it called? Compressor. And this thing goes up and down. It makes a kind of kind of sound. So this, it can produce something like 60 to 80 decibels. So therefore it is best that these people wear ear defenders. to block out the noise. Okay, but in India, you will hardly find anybody doing this. Sometimes they'll be wearing chappals and working on this. Highly safe, unsafe thing to do. You should be wearing industrial quality boots, and you should also wear gloves because you have to protect yourself from the shock. Well, labor is not valued much in our country. Now moving on, sorry, so I was talking about this equation. So to find out the sound in terms of loudness in terms of decibel from the intensity, we have to use the logarithmic function. Have you people done logarithms in mathematics yet?
Yeah, last year.
Yeah.
Last year you have done it. So then it's easy to talk about. That is loudness of the sound in terms of decibels can be obtained by k times log of intensity to the base 10. Okay. Now I am telling you this equation because it's there in the textbook how to understand this. Otherwise, it's not necessary. You don't need to know this. This intensity is measured in terms of watts per square meter. Okay, so the only thing that is interesting to do is work out what is the constant of proportionality. How do we know that? We know that 0 decibels corresponds to k times log intensity of 10 power minus 12 to the base 10, correct? So what is log 10 power minus 12?
Minus 12.
Minus 12, exactly. So if 0 is equal to k times minus 12, sorry,
Has to be, K has to be 0 then, right?
yeah, that gives us a weird answer. Minus 12. Hey, but it's for base 10, 10 to the power of 12 base 10, okay, it will be minus 12. So that somehow doesn't make sense.
Then 0 equals 12 minus 12. K equals minus 12. Right?
But there is a relationship, like 10 to the power of n watts per meter square is n plus 12 into 10 decibels.
Sorry, come again.
10 to the power of n watts per meter square
Yeah,
is n plus 12 into 10 dB.
I don't understand. Are you saying, are you suggesting that this can be written in a different form?
He's saying it's a he's stating a formula. So if it's 10 to the power n watts per meter square, then it can be
N
then
watts per
the
meter
decibels
square.
is
Then it will
then
be
the decibels is n into n plus 12 into 10.
n plus 12 the whole
The
time.
whole thing into 10.
So that gives
That's
you.
the number of decibels.
Okay, sorry, I didn't look this up before today's class, and
So you can take it also, Sky.
huh?
Looking at the table, you can actually see it.
You can actually see the relationship, yeah.
Yeah.
But my logarithmic function understanding has been questioned today, so I'm finding it challenging looking at this log. I didn't get a good sense of it, but if you are saying that's how it works out, then it works out fine. That's all right with me. So, but this is equal to this. So this is okay. So this is intensity and this is loudness, right?
Yeah, and the log comes in basically in place of the n. So you write log 10 to the log to the base 10, and then the whatever term you have.
So if it is 10 power minus 12 watts per square meter, then the loudness will be 10 times, n will be minus 12, right? Plus 12. So that gives you 10 times 0, so you get 0 decibels. Okay, got it. I think somebody told me this last year also and I again forgot it. Okay, I have to brush up on my logarithmic functions. So now the thing is that the good news is that we don't need this. They never ask a question based on this equation, but because it's mentioned in the textbook, I just like to say that it's not rocket science. You can kind of figure it out as I could not figure it out. looking at the table. Um, and then there are some example problems given and all that. So for those of you who are interested in this, you can kind of work through the problems and make sure that you understand how this equation works. And then the next one will be, we will be talking about pitch or shrillness. So the frequency of any sound gives us a sense of what is the pitch of that sound. So that we will discuss in the next class. What is subjective about it? The frequency itself is an objective quantity. What is
Shrill
subjective about this?
pitch.
Yeah, who's that?